Well, very shortly, I'm going to be heading into a Sunday meeting with a client, believe it or not, but we have a hearing on Wednesday, and I have some family obligations leaving tomorrow, coming back Tuesday, including a specialist appointment for my daughter. So I wanted to get it done. This is like hearing prep for a hearing coming up. And that way, if there's any loose ends and he's got questions prior to the hearing, because we always chat about a half hour before the hearing, and I make sure my hearings are anywhere between 10 and 3 so that my clients don't have to get up at the crack of dawn, because that can be very difficult, particularly for people with high medications and high pain thresholds. Sometimes the mornings are the toughest. So anywho, this is off topic, just going off here. You hear so much about who wants to reduce Social Security and who's, trying to, change laws or this, that, and the other thing. So I was just taking a look around history. Now, there was a time when I was doing a lot of consultations on retirement, Social Security retirement, and that was around 2014, 15, maybe. And a law got changed in 15 that really was kind of mind-blowing. Prior to this change of 2015, so obviously you know what administration that was, it was considered bipartisan. So Congress, Congress devised the law, and then it was signed in by President Obama. And this is the last biggie, I'd say. This is the only one I know from a really severe legislative point where it's, the houses pass it and then it goes to the president for his approval or disapproval. So in this case, he approved it. This was with regard to spousal retirement benefits. If you may recall, for decades, a spouse can always, can file for their own work record. Anybody at 62, right? You're going to get that early. It's not a penalty. It's just that you're taking 60 extra payments instead of waiting till 67. So you it has to come from someplace. You're actually paying for your own self to be able to take more payments, 60 more payments than a regular person that waits till 67, a full retirement age person. Okay. So we also have the option, of, when we're in a marriage, we, it comes with financial obligations to one another. It also comes with benefits, the rights and the responsibilities, there's kind of a balancing act, right? Some people don't want those responsibilities, so they don't get married, or they choose not to get married. And some are more than fine having them, maybe because of the benefits that come with it or whatever, but it's definitely a rights and responsibilities type of legality, marriage. And I would say that's probably true of, domestic partnerships and civil unions and all that. So it used to be, and still is, if you are a spouse and you don't have a work record of your own, or it's very puny, and you need or want to file for retirement benefits early, if you have not worked, but you've been married, for whatever sufficient minimal amount of time is required, you can file for a spousal retirement benefit. That's one of the things the working spouse actually paid for in all those years that all of us, put in as part of our FICA and all that, is coverage for a spouse. And it applies to spouses who are our dependents of sorts. So if the spouse doesn't have their own retirement benefit because they didn't work enough to have it in their lifetime, or if theirs is small, they could take smaller, or not. They could opt for the spousal instead. Now, a spousal benefit, if you take it at 62, is only going to be 35% of the other spouse upon whose record you are applying their PIA. If you wait to your full retirement age, is when you get the full 50%. So you're never going to get a spousal benefit of 100% on your spouse, because your spouse is going to be collecting their 100%, right? And we have that family max. Of course, survivor benefits is a whole nother story, but we're not talking about that here at all. So what people could do is a spouse who had been working, him or herself, and I'm going to just go with the female side because historically historically, guys, not necessarily today, the women made less in their lifetime than the men. That was for a lot of reasons. Yes, there was probably a wage gap. There was lower skills. They didn't choose to go off to college. They also didn't choose to get the durational seniority and the skills from the job that the men did, because they were often staying home, raising children and making productive, loving people into society. Okay, so that's part of the reason why there's a spousal benefit. It's a good thing. So what one could do up until 2015 was, I could say, collect a spousal benefit at 62, assuming my spouse had filed, because he has to trigger the coverage to open up. I could take a spousal. That would be 35% of his. Let's say his was 2,000. I'd be collecting about 700 a month, but not collecting my own that I worked for. Rather, I'm just going off of what my spouse paid in, so that and I could then not collect my own until age 70, which would be it would be my rate times about adding on another 80%. That is the difference between you collecting your benefit at 62 and you waiting till age 70 to start collecting. So if we're working in the meantime and we don't need it, sometimes it's a good idea, unless we think we're gonna, die early, right? So if let's say, so I could take the spousal at 62, that would be 700 if his amount was 2,000. Let's say my amount was also 2,000 as a full retirement age amount. I could have collected off of my own record, which would be about, at 62, probably about 70%, give or take, of what my full amount would be. So if it was 2,000 would have been my full amount had I waited till age 67. Now I would only be collecting, what would that be, guys? 30, I'm sorry, like 1,300, 1,400, something like that. So you take a big hit by collecting early. So I didn't have to collect early with my own. I could let my 2,000 grow to age 70, and then it would be, how much did I say? It would probably be about, all right, I'm not doing the math well, but add 80% on that. So let's say it was 2,000, now it's going to be 3,500. Okay. So I could be collecting, so instead I could take the spousal little puny amount for 700 a month, enjoy that till I'm 70, and then I switch to 3,500 because I let mine grow from 2,000 to 3,500. They like to call it a loophole now. They started doing that before 2015, when they were all starting to try to, this is how we're going to save money, so that we don't look like such failures in the Social Security trust fund. So that is the rule they got rid of. No longer can I or you collect a spousal benefit and leave ours alone. It is now deemed to have been filing for our own, and I will instead have to collect my own and never enjoy the delayed growth, if you will. So that rule the change was in 2015, signed by President Obama, and it became effective, I think, in early 2016. Well, do it. I get it if they're going to start saying, well, but really that's not what it's meant to be. So even though we did have it that way before, we're going to change it. Okay. I mean, that's politics, and that's life, and that's math, or whatever. What was really troublesome, though, was they literally had it on the heels of people turning 62. It was super, super, like, if you were turning 62 and this was your plan to do what I just described, which would be very helpful for retirement, now these people didn't have time to pivot. I think I had read something back then about $60,000 was lost per person who lost from this. And I heard a weird sound outside. Now what would that be today? 60,000, now like 80, 90, I don't know, inflation. But that's a lot of money, that it isn't now going to be could have been sitting and earning in a secure investment account, IRA, whatever. That's gone. That's just gone. And the funny thing is, that was part of the calculations of what's going in, what's coming out, and the actuarial bean counters that made up our FICA tax amount. So they reduced the benefit by taking, say on average $60,000 away from working, probably females, workers in their senior years, but you didn't see anything come off the other side, right? So the rights of being the spouse were reduced, the benefits, but the obligations were not, because her taxes are still the same. Everybody's taxes are still the same. That didn't go down. So anyway, just throwing that out there. That's about 9 years ago now. I can't believe time has flown. I remember reading the act. I'm going to post it up here. Actually, I had this on Facebook. I will post that as well. But when we talk about, oh my God, so-and-so is, and by the way, this was bipartisan, like I said. I think it was a Republican who sponsored it. Everyone jumped on board, boom, and it became law. Obama embraced it, and it became the law. So this isn't really a partisan comment by me. It's just what it was. And my biggest problem was the fact that I think they should have said it won't affect anyone who's 55 or older today. It's going to be everyone born after so-and-so date, because I really don't think that was fair to do those 62-year-olds. It was just, they can't change their retirement plan, their savings that they were planning on this, and they do always say, well, Congress can change the Social Security. That's all true and dandy, but that doesn't mean you have to screw people. They could have said, all right, it's going to be prospective. It's going to be affecting everyone who was born after so-and-so date. And maybe it should have been the 55-year-olds at that time, because then they still have like 7 years to maybe regroup and maybe tighten the belt a little bit. It was also in 2015 when the economy was really, really crappy. What a hard time to put it on people, particularly seniors or people closely approaching 62. And these were people like a few months later were turning 62. Suddenly their whole plan is wiped out based on their birthday. So I thought that was the not the best way to have done it. But another broad point is, when you got to be careful when you hear about people talking about who's going to be cutting Social Security. There is so many lies out there. Go to the source, find out what they said, listen to them, or read what they have signed. But when you're listening to, the media out there that is all owned by one politician or another, this is what we get, a lot of misinformation. So take a look-see to see which candidates are talking about doing what and what. You might also want to consider if someone, we talk about Medicare, which is super important. If someone wants to have Medicare for all, please tell me what that's going to do to the amount of coverage you get if it now has to be spread out among everybody, particularly those that didn't pay him. Just a thought. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Off topic.